Aliyah had made up her mind. She was leaving. With her son by her side, she rushed to the airport, her heart pounding with uncertainty. Yet, something deep inside held her back. Unbeknownst to her, Chihan had followed, watching from a distance, waiting to see what she would do. The airport staff called her name, asking if she needed assistance, but she barely registered their words. Then, Deniz turned, his eyes lighting up as he spotted Chihan. Without a second thought, Aliyah, who had been frozen in place, exhaled quietly. Without a word, she took her son's hand and walked away from the check-in counter. She wasn't leaving after all. The car ride home was heavy with silence. Deniz, still buzzing from the wedding, was the only one who spoke. It was amazing. The decorations, the music, everything. Chihan, eyes on the road, gave a small nod. Yeah, it was nice. Deniz turned to his mother. You liked it too, right? Aliyah's gaze was fixed outside the window. Sure, she murmured. Later, they stopped at a gas station. While Chihan stepped inside to grab snacks for Deniz, he handed Aliyah a cup of coffee and a piece of toast. I'm not hungry, she said, barely glancing at it. He took a sip of his own drink. Zeynep was disappointed. She was hoping you'd be there. Deniz, ever perceptive, looked up. We should apologize. Chihan nodded. We will. Aliyah set the untouched toast down. You knew, she said abruptly. Chihan didn't look up. Knew what? That I was leaving. A smirk ghosted across his lips. And was I supposed to stop you? She had no answer for that. The attendant signaled that the tank was full, and just like that, the conversation ended. Back at the mansion, one of the maids raised an eyebrow. Didn't you all have other plans for the night? Chihan carried a sleepy Deniz inside. Change of plans. As he walked upstairs, Aliyah noticed Sadakat wincing in pain. Are you okay? Sadakat waved her off. Just tired. Aliyah didn't believe her, but she let it go. Later that night, Aliyah stood in Chihan's doorway. You saw us leave, she said. It wasn't a question. Chihan didn't deny it. How long have you known? She pressed. Since the moment you arrived, he admitted. I overheard you talking about it. Then why didn't you stop me? He shrugged. I wanted to see what you'd do. Aliyah's voice was barely a whisper. You would have let me go. Chihan tilted his head. Would you have left if Deniz hadn't seen me? Neither of them answered. After a beat, he added, Next time, if you really want to go, do it. I won't be there for Deniz to run to. Let's see if you actually walk away then. Then he shut the door. The night stretched long and sleepless. When morning arrived, Aliyah curled up on the couch, feigning sleep as Chihan walked past. Without a word, he draped a blanket over her and left. Downstairs, Kadir leaned against the counter. If Deniz hadn't seen you, would you have let them go? Chihan exhaled. Yes. Kadir let out a low whistle. Good thing they didn't. Aliyah's phone buzzed. Did you leave? Jansu's voice was laced with concern. Aliyah hesitated before answering. No. A pause. Will you? Jansu asked. Aliyah stared at her passport, lying open on the table. I don't know, but I'll decide soon. She closed the passport. Elsewhere, Zirin ignored the persistent ringing of her phone. Kai was calling again. Frustrated, he stood outside her house. When knocking didn't work, he climbed over the gate. Aliyah had just set her coffee down when a maid rushed in. Miss, you need to come. It's Sadakat. She ran upstairs to find Sadakat pale and in distress. Where's Chihan? Sadakat rasped, pushing away Aliyah's hands. You need to go to the hospital, Aliyah insisted. Sadakat shook her head. Either you walk, or I carry you, Aliyah said, her voice firm. With a reluctant sigh, Sadakat let her help. At the same time, Kaya was inside Zirin's home. A text buzzed on her phone. I'm in. If you don't come to me, I'll come to you. Heart racing, she stormed downstairs. This has to stop, she told him. Kaya shook his head. No, it doesn't. I know you were forced to testify against me. Zirin's jaw tightened. It doesn't change anything. Before he could reply, Sahin appeared, grabbing Kaya by the collar. What the hell are you doing here? Kaya shoved him off. Your family already took my father from me. What more do you want? Just then, Sahin's mother entered. Get out, she ordered coldly. Zirin's engaged to sit it. The wedding is happening soon. Kaya's expression darkened. You're lying. No, she's not, Sahin said, stepping in front of Zirin. Kaya was dragged out, but before he left, he threw one last look at Zirin. This isn't over. Zirin turned to her mother, panic in her eyes. Tell me it's not true. Her mother didn't meet her gaze. Your father made his decision. She whirled to Sahin. Do something. Sahin wrapped an arm around her. I'll talk to him, he promised. Kaya sped through the streets, his grip tight on the steering wheel. At the hospital, Mina sighed in relief, assuming Aliyah had already left. But when she turned the corner, she froze. Aliyah was standing there with Kadir, helping Sadakat inside. You're still here, Mina muttered. Aliyah met her gaze without hesitation. For now. Tension thickened in the waiting area. Kadir stood firm against an old adversary. Demir, watching from the sidelines, smirked at the exchange. Then, Kaya stormed in livid. You're not marrying her off. Zirin belongs to me. Kadir held up a hand. Now's not the time. Jihan arrived just in time to hear Kaya's last words. Sadakat, lying on the hospital bed, whispered bitterly, One day, I'll watch you rot in your grave. Sahin entered, pulling his father aside, while Jihan turned to Kaya. What happened to your face? Kaya's voice was tight with anger. Nothing. Just don't let them try this again. Meanwhile, Zirin clutched her mother's hands. Stop this wedding. Her mother sighed. It's not my choice. Tears welled in Zirin's eyes. Make it your choice. Aliyah observes Zareen and looks at her. Zareen informs her that her brother convinced their father that she won't marry a gentleman and leaves due to her mother. Aliyah calls Nara to share the news, and Nara is thrilled. Meanwhile, Kaya calls Shaheen to thank him, but Shaheen warns him not to get too close to his sister. Zareen overhears their conversation, and when Shaheen ends the call, he tells Zareen that the information was also meant for her. Zareen hugs her brother, crying, while Kaya struggles with his feelings until his brother arrives to talk. Seda enters and jokingly suggests marrying someone else to settle down, which angers Kaya. Jihan advises Seda to let them speak privately. After she leaves, Jihan tries to calm Kaya, reminding him to prepare for the night. Kaya agrees and departs. Seda returns to Jihan, questioning who will marry if both men are unavailable and who will give the family a grandchild. Jihan laughs, reassuring her not to worry about the doctor's situation, as he will return to his country soon. Later, Jihan argues with Aliyah for dressing up and going out without telling him her plans. She retorts that he is going out himself, and he admits he's leaving to escape her. She explains that she's heading out to spend time with someone because they've become friends. Jihan firmly says no, but she ignores him and leaves. He goes to join the men, instructing them to wait, and tries to contact Mina, but she doesn't answer. Kaya, Kadir, and the elderly man converse, with Ajam asking if he will escape tomorrow. Kadir reassures him, and Demir remarks that it's good he hasn't given his daughter to a gentleman. It seems someone wants to marry her. Meanwhile, Aliyah is on her way out when Seda spots her and decides to pressure her with some words. However, Aliyah responds cleverly and walks away. Aliyah arrives at Mina's home with a gift and finds her preparing a cozy atmosphere. Meanwhile, Jihan and his associates are involved in a smuggling operation, but the police arrive, forcing them to hide, and the plan fails, frustrating Jihan. Hellas asks him who knew about the operation, and Jihan suspects it might be someone from their group, vowing to find out. Aliyah thanks Mina for preparing a lovely spread for them, and Mina asks about her life with Kazir, prompting a discussion about the drama surrounding it. Mina praises Aliyah's courage for marrying her husband's brother, acknowledging it was for her child but still a bold move. Aliyah laughs, playfully accusing Mina of knowing everything about her life, wondering if her story is spread on social media. Mina replies that the whole town is aware of everyone's business, especially since Aliyah is now part of an influential family. Mina subtly tries to irritate Aliyah with her comments, and Aliyah, curious, inquires if there is someone she loves. Mina admits to being in love with someone who loves her back, but sadly it's impossible to get closer. Aliyah presses for details, asking if he's married, to which Mina confirms he is, mentioning she doesn't want to destroy his family life. Therefore, she feels her only option is to wait. Aliyah praises Mina's empathy. Meanwhile, Seda is waiting for Jihan, and when he arrives, she questions who betrayed them. He admits he doesn't know yet, but suspects it's someone from their circle. She asks if he's sure it's not Aliyah, and he confirms it's not her. Seda insists they need to find the spy among them before he gets caught. Jihan agrees and heads to his room. Aliyah asks him what happened, sensing he's upset. He expresses frustration and heads to wash his face, still feeling angry. When he comes out, Aliyah mentions she's relieved he didn't suspect her of being the informant. He insists even if he did, she wouldn't betray him. She counters that he can't be certain, claiming she would never agree to his shady dealings. He defends himself, saying he didn't say she agreed, but believes she would never turn him in. Aliyah states she wants him to leave the smuggling work, to which he responds they can discuss it later. She suggests his obligatory actions include marrying her, to which he asks when she'll drop that subject. They change the topic, with Jihan inquiring about her night out with Mina. She tells him she returned early as promised and praises Mina for preparing a wonderful feast, expressing happiness for the time spent together, even if the conversation wasn't delightful. Jihan suggests changing the subject, but before leaving, she notes he looks worn out. He brushes it off, claiming he's fine. She leaves, and the next day, she tries to open the safe for her passport, but it's jammed. Jihan wakes up and asks if she plans to escape. She explains the safe is stuck, and he assists her in opening it, jokingly suggesting she switch to bank robbery instead of smuggling. She playfully responds that she doesn't need a new one, wanting to keep it in plain sight for when she escapes. Jihan feels frustrated and exits. Later, he visits Mina, mentioning he tried calling her the previous day. She claims she didn't hear him, and he accuses her of playing games. She retorts that he's the one playing here. Since they're in a relationship, he should inform his wife, insisting she won't remain quiet about it. He tells her not to interfere in his business, but she argues it's about their relationship. She reveals she has kept quiet, assuming he felt trapped in his marriage, but she now sees he's falling for her. He tells her to be quiet, but she refuses, asserting it's the truth, and calling him foolish for believing her. She reveals her love for him, pleading for him to leave. He is taken aback and actually leaves. Later, Aliyah is walking through the hospital when Gore calls her and they chat about work. He mentions he has a procedure to complete before joining her for tea. Meanwhile, and come down immediately. Demir glances at Zareen suspiciously. Meanwhile, Aliyah is on her way to work at the hospital, intending to go to an area with an outbreak to treat patients. She meets Nara, who expresses concern for her safety, and mentions she came to thank Shaheen for his help regarding Zareen. Aliyah reassures her that Jihan will find out about her departure. She points out the guard Jihan has assigned to watch her. As Aliyah and Nara enter the hospital, the guard contacts Jihan. At this moment, Jihan reaches Aliyah's location, donning a mask due to the ongoing pandemic. He inquires about her well-being, and upon seeing him, Aliyah asks, "What brings you here? What are you doing?" He responds, "You are my wife, and I can never leave you to face this danger alone." Aliyah insists, "This situation is serious. You should return to where you came from. I need to attend to my patients." She steps inside, but he follows closely, refusing to let her out of his sight. As he repeatedly removes his mask, she scolds him, urging him to put it back on. He pitches in to help with the tasks at hand and assist the patients, while she feels she can rely on his presence. Meanwhile, Nara is deep in thought about the troubling words she overheard, feeling uncertain about her next move. In Aliyah's presence, she gazes at Jihan with affection as he lends a hand, urging him to leave. However, he appears fatigued and begins to cough. She checks his temperature and finds it alarmingly high. Just then,